My, oh my, how the end of the year has aged me. And you're looking at the failure of her end of the year reading hopes. So, 2018! For those of you watching this right after my end of the year reading hopes, it is true. I did not meet that ambitious stack of goals, but just for a little context, I did go home during winter break and was spending a lot more time with family and friends and things of that nature, and I have zero regrets about letting go of some of my reading goals for that time. And I did manage to finish 4 books still, and I am prepared to talk to you about them now. It's a little bit different though, because I'm gonna just talk a little bit about each of them and highlight the 2 that felt like standouts from December. The first book I finished in December was my Sweet Audrina, which was the My Favorite Murder book club choice. And this was a whopper to get through. I felt like with it being the end of the year and I was closing out things at work, it was just, I was crawling through this. But it was really interesting and really different from the kind of creepy books I've read in the past. It felt like an older book, and I appreciated that. It was different and disturbing. And it was one of those books that the whole time I was just like wanting to scream out loud. Like, what are you doing? Why? Don't do that, stop. And it kind of felt like I was watching a horror film. There were characters in this book that seriously made me want to just tear my hair out because they irritated me so bad. And that was the intention, but I was like, I could really never hear about you for the rest of forever and be totally good with that. But pretty good choice. I'm really intrigued to see what they'll pick next because this was a really good idea and I'm totally on board. So, Karen, Georgia, where you at? The next book I read, Jenna actually sent to me, and it is Grief is the Thing with Feathers. And this was so unique and interesting, and I get a lot of questions about it, specifically on Instagram. And the way I felt about this book is that it was a really special and unique way to address the topic of grief and loss. The way they went about telling this, to me, reminded me of something that just feels really absurd, but in a way that it kind of like eases you into this more difficult topic. It's such a quick read. I highly recommend going into this one with an open mind, but it's about to be made into a play. I thought that was really interesting, and I'd really like to see what they do with it because that would be really, really cool to see, I think. These last 2 are really my standouts for the end of the year and really kind of climbed to the top for me as 2017 overall. And the first one is Stay With Me. Oh, I was co-reading this while reading my Sweet Audrina, and this just is such an emotional, deep, and real read. And I just can't even wrap my head around how this author got there. This story follows a couple, but more specifically a wife who really doesn't want to expand her relationship to a polygamous relationship where there will be multiple wives in the family. And her way of going about that is, and the way that they want to maintain that, is if she's able to have a child, and she really struggles in doing so, which leads to a lot of different complications within the relationship. And it's just it's a tough read. It's a tough one to get through just because of how this story goes about discussing loss and grief and the difficulties within relationships, not just marital or love relationships, but like with children and loss of children. Oh, it's just like, I can't even really go there because I'll start crying. I just feel like if you pick up anything from 2017, this is one of my top 3 for sure worth reading. And I think it's worth looking into a little bit deeper as well. The last book I read for December and 2017 as a whole was one that I've been anticipating for a really long time, and it is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And I already gushed about like the cover in my previous video, but I just can't get over it, and I'm so excited to read the next one, which I've heard is different from this one, but doesn't matter, I need to. I fell in love with this almost immediately. I liked the idea of the whole story where they have Rosemary, who's joining the crew of the Wayfarer, and they are going on an extensive tunneling mission, and you learn so much about all the different species and people on this crew, and I was just like, why can't I be a part of this? It was longer than I expected, but I was actually really grateful for that. I felt like I got a lot of detail out of it, and I want to see this as a movie. I want to be in it. I want to meet all these people. It's so multifaceted, and it goes into so many different relationships and connections, and just learning about differences in people and species. I really couldn't get enough of it, and I like was curious if this was gonna feel outside my norm. I don't read a lot of sci-fi in particular, but this felt like relational sci-fi, and if that is a genre, then I am in it, because that is 100%, it meets my needs more than I could ever say. And this will be one that I like reread for forever, I'm sure, because it's just so good, and I want to like recommend it to everyone, but I also have like a tiny fear that it's like not in everybody's realm, but I don't even care. I can't, it's so good. Oh my god, for forever. This is another one that really climbed up to the top for me at the end of 2017, and is definitely worth giving a shot. And you know, if you're curious about sci-fi and you haven't read it or haven't enjoyed it in the past, I feel like this is a good gateway for that. Just give it a try. And if you hate it, then you can be mad at me. That's okay. So those were the 4 books that I read in December. I like considered not even making this video just because I don't know, it's 2018 already, and my energy is like trying to invest elsewhere, and I have so many like things that I want to do, and I want to kick off the year strong, but it felt so wrong to like not end what I've been consistently doing in the way that honors what I've been consistently doing. So I hope that that's okay, and if not, it happened anyway, so hopefully we can move on. And as far as 2017 as a whole, I feel like it's been probably like 6 months, I think, since I've started making videos, and I just really appreciate all the support and kind words and comments that are left on these videos. I'm still gonna keep trying, and I hope you'll stay with me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.